there have been many enemies or impediments or hindrances when you want to do something good. And everybody who practices meditation meets this enemy, and they have to make effort a lot to conquer this enemy. And this enemy is sleepiness. It comes to everybody. Nobody is immune from it. Traditionally, there are hindrances which are to be overcome before you can get concentration. There are 5 of them: sense desire, ill will, sloth and torpor. Actually there are 2, but they are grouped into 1. And restlessness and remorse, also 2, taken as 1. And skeptical doubt. These are the 5 hindrances which must be removed in order to gain concentration and higher spiritual attainments. And in the language of the books, we call sloth and torpor. In everyday language, it is just sleepiness. At one time or another, the sleepiness sets in, and meditators find it very difficult to keep up meditation. And in the Pali text, as well as in the commentaries, there are given ways to deal with the sleepiness, sloth and torpor. They are the tested methods, so they are effective. Once a person asked me how my meditation teacher, Mahati Sayadaw, deals with sleepiness. And I told him, Sayadaw did not have to invent any method, any way to meet sleepiness, because they are already mentioned in the books. And in this book, these ways are mentioned. It's the 5 mental hindrances. The reason why sloth and torpor or sleepiness arise is given as unwise attention. We have what we call unwise attention and wise attention to everything, or right attitude and wrong attitude. If we have wrong attitude towards things, these hindrances and also the unwholesome thoughts tend to arise in us. Seeing that drowsiness or this sluggishness or sleepiness is a hindrance, it is not to be desired when meditating, and it is to be overcome by some means, then it will be overcome. So wise attention is one of the means to get rid of sloth and torpor. But just to have wise attention is not enough. So there are some more ways to deal with sleepiness. That is, arousing one's energy. That is called the element of exertion, or the element of continuous exertion. When the Buddha Dubi sat under the Bodhi tree to practice meditation, which would lead him to the attainment of Buddhahood, he aroused energy in this way. May nothing remain but skin and sinews and bones. May flesh and blood dry up in the body. What can be achieved by manly strength, manly energy, manly exertion, not before having achieved it, shall my energy subside. So that is, let my skin and sinews and bones be nothing. May my flesh and blood dry up, but I will not forsake exertion until I reach Buddhahood. So in this way, the Buddha Dubi aroused energy in himself and practiced meditation. If we can do the same, it would be very good. And there are 6 things which are conducive to the abandonment of sleepiness, sloth and torpor. First is knowing that overeating is the cause of it. So if you eat much, you feel sleepy just after eating, because when your stomach is full, blood which normally goes to the brain has to go to the stomach, and so there is less blood supply to the brain, and so you feel drowsy and sleepy. So knowing that overeating is the cause of it, you can reduce eating. So moderation in eating is one way of getting rid of sleepiness or avoiding sleepiness. It is advised in the books that when you eat, leave 4 or 5 spoonfuls alone, not eaten. And instead of 4 or 5 spoonfuls, just drink water, and that will keep you comfortable. So if you feel sleepy when meditating, one of the things you can do is eat just a little less. Do not fill your stomach to the full. You may have noticed that in the schedule, walking period follows breakfast and lunch. That is to help you to be less sleepy when you sit and practice meditation. It is a habit. It was the habit of the monks to walk up and down for a while after eating. That way they can avoid drowsiness after eating, mental sluggishness, and sleepiness. The other thing you can do is changing the bodily posture. If you feel sleepy when you are sitting, you may stand up and practice meditation standing up. Or if you feel sleepy when you are lying down, you may get up and sit or stand or walk. That way you can avoid sleepiness. The third thing is thinking of the perception of light. That means try seeing light, visualizing light. Think that you are looking at a bright light or looking at the sun or the moon, so that your eyes become wide and the sleepiness goes away. And also paying close attention to what you observe, trying to see them clearly is another way of thinking of the perception of light. So when you are sleepy and when you are sitting and sleepy, try to see light. Imagine that light is all around you, and sun and moon. Or try to pay more attention to the objects so that they become clearer to you. And that way you may be able to get rid of sleepiness. One other thing is staying in the open air. If you feel sleepy when you are in the hall or in the room, then stay in the open air. Go out and sit in the open air, and you will feel less sleepy there, especially in the real open air, not under the trees. The other way is to have noble friendship. That means to have friends who can talk with you about getting rid of sleepiness and who themselves are not given to sleeping much. Talking to them and taking them as example may lead you to abandon sloth and torpor or sleepiness. And the last one is suitable conversation. That means something like counseling, talking with the other person about sleepiness, the disadvantages of sleepiness and advantages of alertness. By talking about sleepiness, you may be able to abandon sleepiness. And in addition, there are things that are helpful in conquering sloth and torpor. One is recollection of death. Sleepiness comes from laziness, sluggishness. So when sleepiness comes to you, try to recollect of death. Today the effort should be done. Who knows if tomorrow death will come? Nobody knows whether he will die tomorrow. So when there is still time today, be not slothful. So get up and step up your energy and so on. So recollection of death is one way of getting rid of sleepiness. Or you can perceive suffering in impermanence. Everything is impermanent. And anything that is impermanent is suffering. When one sees suffering in impermanence, one cannot be slothful. One cannot be lazy. One has to exert. One has to put forth effort to practice meditation in order to make an end to this suffering. And also it is helpful to practice sympathetic joy, to get rid of sleepiness. Sympathetic joy means joy in the happiness of others, in the prosperity of others. When you have this joy for the happiness of others, your mind becomes alive. So you can drive away sleepiness by practicing sympathetic joy. Think of your friends who are in prosperity, who are in good shape, and be happy about them. Or you can contemplate on the road of one spiritual journey. That is, I have to tread that path which the Buddha, the Pachika Buddhas, and the great disciples have gone. That path cannot be trodden by an indolent person. So the path, this Vipassana path, was discovered by the Buddha and practiced by him and practiced by the Pachika Buddhas. They are like Buddhas and his great disciples. And this path of Vipassana cannot be trodden by those who are indolent, who are lazy. So don't be lazy. Then contemplation on the Master's greatness. Full application of energy was praised by my Master, that means the Buddha, and he is unsurpassed in his injunctions and a great help to us. He is honored by practicing his doctrine, not otherwise. So when you contemplate on the Master's or the Buddha's greatness, you get this inspiration from him. So you apply energy, you apply effort for the practice of meditation. Or you can contemplate on the greatness of the heritage. I have to take possession of the great heritage called the good law. But one who is indolent cannot take possession of it. We are sons and daughters of the Buddha, our teacher. And if we want to take possession of the great heritage from the teacher, we should not be indolent. We should not be lazy. We should not sleep too much. And you can stimulate your mind sometimes. The application of wisdom or the arousing the factors of energy, factors of rapture, factors of investigation. And by arousing these factors, you may be able to get rid of sleepiness. These are the ways given in the commentaries. But at one time, Buddha himself gave advice to his disciple, Moggallana, how to get rid of sleepiness. You know, Moggallana was the second chief disciple of the Buddha. The first chief disciple was Sariputta. Moggallana was foremost among those who possessed supernormal power, and Sariputta was foremost among those who possessed wisdom. They are right-hand men and left-hand men of the Buddha. Whenever Buddha went to a certain place and took seat, Sariputta always sat on the right-hand side of the Buddha, and Moggallana on the left-hand side of the Buddha. And they were childhood friends. They grew up together, and it was remarkable that they got the thought of renunciation while they are watching a show. As they were friends, they both went to a certain show on the top of the mountain. And when watching the show, one day, one of them thought to himself, what is this all about? Now these people are dancing, singing. In 50 years they will all be gone. And I will be gone too in 50 years. There's nothing to enjoy in this life. And it is better to find a way to escape from this suffering world. And so he was not happy. The other friend also thought that way. And one friend asked the other what has happened to them, because he was not like on other days. And so both of them expressed their thinking to one another, each other, and they decided then and there to renounce the world and to look for a way to end suffering. So they became ascetics, and they went to a teacher and lived with them. But they did not get what they want from that teacher. But they lived on with the teacher, and they made promise to each other that one of them who found the way to end suffering first must tell the other friend. So one day Sariputta met the met a disciple of the Buddha, and they learned something from him. And when that disciple preached to him, Sariputta became a Sotapanna. Sariputta got the first stage of enlightenment from that disciple. That disciple was the youngest of the 5 disciples to whom the first sermon was delivered. So when Sariputta got that, Sariputta said, "Please stop here. Don't go any further. I have a friend and I have a promise, so I must go and tell him." So he went to Moggallana and told him about that, and he preached to Moggallana the same Dhamma which was preached to him by the disciple. And Moggallana also became a Sotapanna. After becoming Sotapanna themselves, they wanted to go to the Buddha. So they asked their teacher permission. Actually, they asked their teacher also to go to the Buddha. But the teacher said, "I am a teacher. I cannot be a pupil. I cannot be a student again. So you go, you just go, I'll be here." So they left. And when they left, the other ascetics, 250 other ascetics, followed them. And they approached the Buddha. And when they reached the Buddha said, "Those 2 persons coming will be my chief disciples." And so when they came, they asked Buddha to accept them into the order of monks. And Buddha said, "Come, O monks." So just by Buddha saying, "Come, O monks," they were changed into monks. So they don't have to undergo the ordination ceremony. Now, they are called "Come here monks." Yes. So after they became monks, now 250 followers became, they got enlightenment when they came to the Buddha and the Buddha preached to them. But the two friends were left. 2 friends did not get further attainment at that time. So these 2 persons, Sariputta and Moggallana, went to a different place and practiced meditation. And Moggallana was practicing meditation at a certain place. And when he was practicing, he was overcome by sleepiness. So he was sleeping, maybe going like that again and again. The Buddha knew this. So Buddha went to him and asked him. And when he said yes, then Buddha told him ways of overcoming sleepiness. And at the end of the discourse, Buddha gave him subject of meditation, another subject of meditation on the elements, the 4 great elements. And he became an arahat. So Moggallana became an arahat after 7 days. But Sariputta needed 15 days to become an arahat. He was the foremost among those who have wisdom, who possess great wisdom. But he needs 15 days or 2 weeks to become an arahant. And in the book it is said that it is like a king's going out. When a king wants to go out, he has to prepare this and that, and so it takes much more time. If an ordinary person wants to go out, he just go out. He doesn't have to do anything. So it takes more time for Sariputta to become an arahant. And one thing strange about Sariputta was that he was like a person who eats out of a dish prepared for another person. That means Buddha was preaching to Sariputta's nephew, a certain Sutta. And Sariputta was listening to the Sutta. So this Sutta was not preached to him. But at the end of the Sutta, Sariputta became an arahant. Now about Moggallana. So once the Exalted One spoke to the Venerable Mahamoggallana thus, "Are you drowsy, Moggallana? Are you drowsy, Moggallana?" He was really drowsy, he was really sleepy, so he said, "Yes, Venerable Sir." Then the Buddha said, "Well then, O Moggallana, at whatever thought torpor has befallen you, to that thought you should not give attention. You should not dwell on it frequently. Then it is possible that by so doing, torpor will disappear." This is the first method given by the Buddha. So if sleepiness comes to you, comes to you thinking some thought, then don't think that thought. If by thinking some thought you feel sleepy, then leave that thought alone. Do not think of that thought. By so doing, you will be able to conquer sleepiness. Sometimes you think of something and you feel sleepy. But don't think of that thing. That is the first method given by the Buddha. Number 2, but if by so doing that torpor does not disappear, you should think and reflect within your mind about the doctrine you have, as you have heard and learned it, and you should mentally review it. Then it is possible that by so doing torpor will disappear. So the second way to get rid of sleepiness is to reflect about the doctrine you have heard or learned, to think about the doctrine, and you should mentally review it, thinking over it again and again. And by so doing, sleepiness will go from you, go away. Sleepiness comes to you when your mind is inactive. Now by reflecting in your mind, sleepiness comes to you when your mind is inactive. Now by reflecting in your mind the doctrine you have heard or learned, you make your mind alert, and so sleepiness naturally disappears when the mind is alert. So in order to make the mind alert, reflect on the doctrine or on something you have learned, something you have heard. Think of it or reflect upon it, and torpor, sloth and torpor will disappear. This is the second method. So if you do not know any of the doctrines, you may reflect on anything you have learned at school. Number 3, but if by so doing that torpor does not disappear, you should learn by heart the doctrine in its fullness, as you have heard and learned it. Then it is possible that by so doing torpor will disappear. That means recite something which you have learned. Everybody has learned something by heart, so recite something. In this respect, monks are fortunate because they have a lot learned by heart. I think even singing a song may be able to drive away sleepiness. So you should learn by heart and recite it, the discourse or the doctrine as you have heard or learned it. This is one way. Number 4, but if by so doing that torpor does not disappear, you should shake your ears and rub your limbs with the palm of your hand. Then it is possible, by so doing, torpor will disappear. This piece of advice is given by the Buddha himself, so you can do that. Shake your ears, or pull your ears, and rub your limbs with your palm. Next time when you feel sleepy, try that. So when you shake your ears, or when you pull your ears, there's some pain there, and then you become alert. So shake your ears and rub your limbs with the palm of your hand. Number 5, but if by so doing that torpor does not disappear, you should get up from your seat, and after washing your eyes with water, you should look around in all directions and look upward to the stars in the sky. Then it is possible, by so doing, torpor will disappear. So the next thing you can do is get up from your seat. So when you feel sleepy while sitting, get up from your seat, and after washing your eyes with water, throw cool water on your face, wash your eyes, and look around in all directions, and look upward to the stars in the sky, because people usually meditate during the night. So it is advised to look upwards to the stars in the sky. That way, it is possible that torpor will disappear. So you can wash your face, get up from your seat, and look around. Number 6, but if by so doing that torpor does not disappear, you should firmly establish the inner perception of light. As it is by day, so also by night. As it is by night, so also by day. That means, even though it is night, imagine it is day, full of light. Thus, with the mind clear and unobstructed, you should develop a consciousness which is full of brightness. Then it is possible, by so doing, torpor will disappear. So imagine yourself as seeing light, seeing bright light, sunlight, moonlight, and other light. By so doing, your mind will become clear and unobstructed, then sleepiness or torpor will disappear. So this is by firmly establishing the inner perception of life. You are not to look at with your eyes at the light, but just imagine that you are seeing light. This is the sixth method. The next one is, but if by so doing that torpor does not disappear, you should, conscious of that which is before and behind, walk up and down, with your senses turned inwards, with your mind not going outward. Then it is possible, by so doing, torpor will disappear. This is walking meditation. So when you feel sleepy while doing sitting meditation, get up and practice walking meditation, conscious of that which is before and behind. So when you walk, you have to be conscious of which is in front of you and which is behind you. Walk up and down with your senses turned inward. So not looking this way or that way and not thinking of other things, but thinking of what you are doing. Be mindful of the steps. That is, with your senses turned inward. With your mind not going out, not going outward. Your mind should be in your body. Your mind should be on your legs, moving legs, and making notes, lifting, pushing, lifting, switching, lifting, pushing, putting, touching, switching, and so on. So if you walk up and down this way, you will be able to drive sleepiness away. But if by so doing that torpor does not disappear, what do you think will come? You may lie down on your right side, taking up the lion's posture, covering foot with foot, mindful, clearly conscious, keeping in mind the thought of rising. Having awakened again, you should quickly rise, thinking, I won't indulge in the enjoyment of lying down and reclining, in the enjoyment of sleep. So if you cannot drive away sleepiness by the previous 7 methods, just lie down. But it does not say that you must go to sleep without meditation. Taking up the lie down on your right side. There are many ways of lying down, and the most recommended one is to lie on your right side. Taking up the lion's posture, that is called the lion's posture. So it seems that lions always lie down on their right side. And covering foot with foot, that means putting one foot on the other, but not one straight on the other, just a little, not one straight on the other, covering foot with foot. But you must be mindful. So do not give up mindfulness and go to sleep, but be mindful, clearly conscious, and keeping in mind the thought of rising. That means, I will rise up, say after 1 hour, or 2 hours, or 3 hours. So keeping in mind the thought of rising. And having awakened again, you should quickly rise, thinking, I won't indulge in the enjoyment of lying down and reclining, in the enjoyment of sleep. Say to yourself this. This, O Moggallana, you should train yourself. Thus, O Moggallana, you should train yourself. So there are 7 ways of getting rid of sleepiness. Try one after the other. If all these 7 ways do not help you, just lie down. Be mindful and be still. And as soon as you wake, you wake. Then just get up quickly, rise up quickly, and say to yourself, I will not indulge in the enjoyment of lying down and reclining, in the enjoyment of sleep. So these are the ways recommended by the Buddha when you have sleepiness, when you have to fight with sleepiness. One way or the other will help you. And there are many other ways in our country. Monks have to learn by heart a lot. They have to learn books by heart. And then in order that they can recite it at any time, they have to recite every day. So when they make recitations, mostly during the night, they feel sleepy and sometimes they even fall asleep. So what they did to fight against sleepiness was, what one monk did was, we have wells not like the pipe wells, deep and wide wells. About in my native city, wells are usually about 45 feet or 50 feet deep. So he put a plank across the well and sit on the plank and recite. he never fell down. He never fell asleep. And the other monk, he kept sleepiness away from him by having a coconut. So he lay down, he lay down and he put his head on the coconut. So he used a coconut as a pillow and he recited. Whenever sleepiness comes to him, his head falls down and hit the floor. And the floors are not like that, not carpeted, the hard floor. So his head hit against the floor. So maybe after about 2 times he will be wide awake. But that is not meditation, that is recitation. So there are many ways to keep sleepiness away from you while doing anything. And so when you feel sleepy, try this way. The other thing to do is just be mindful of sleepiness. When you feel sleepy, say yourself sleepy. That can help. Sometimes after 4, 5, 6 notes, you become alert again. That is how the yogis are instructed at the Rangoon Center. When you go to sleep, you do not go to sleep. You lie down on the bed slowly and making notes of the body going down slowly. And then when your body touches the couch, it's touching. And when your head touches the pillow, touching. And when you are laying down, you are not to give up mindfulness. You try keeping on the breath, in, out, or rising, falling. Then slowly sleepiness will come to you. And when sleepiness comes to you, don't give up. Don't let it overwhelm you. Just make note of that sleepiness, or be mindful of sleepiness. Say to yourself, it is very probable that sleepiness will go away when you are mindful. Then you are alert again, and you keep your mind on the breath again, and then sleepiness comes again. So in this way, let sleep come to you, and do not go to sleep. That is what you have to do while you are in a retreat. So don't go to sleep. Just lie down and let sleep come to you. First time it comes, try to drive it away by being mindful. And if it goes away, take up the meditation again. Then it will come to you again. Try again. If you are really sleepy, if you really need sleep, then sleep will come to you. You don't have to worry about that. So that is how the instructions are given for going to bed, for letting sleep come to you. And also, here is the expression, keeping in mind the thought of rising. That means, I will rise up in the morning. I'll rise up in the morning at 5:30, whatever time you like. So when you make this something like a decision before going to bed, you don't need an alarm clock. You will wake up in the morning at that point of time, because there are no alarm clocks. There were no alarm clocks in the time of the Buddha. So the alarm clock was this. I will get up early in the morning at sunrise or at dawn. So when you are in a retreat, it is very important to keep mindfulness as long as you can. That is why continuity of practice is emphasized during the retreat. Why is this emphasized? Because realization or the discovery can come to you any moment. There is no promise that it will come when you are sitting only or when you are walking only. It will come to you at any moment. There's a story of Venerable Ananda. He was practicing meditation and he was putting forth more energy and he was agitated, restless, and he couldn't make any progress. Then he slowed down. Slow down means with mindfulness. And he lied down, he lowered himself down on the couch. And at that odd moment, realization came to him. He became an arahant at that odd moment. He was not lying, he was not sitting, he was not standing, he was not walking. So he was the only one who reached arahantship outside of the four postures, sitting, standing, lying, and walking. So realization can come to you at any. Therefore, it is important to keep mindfulness always. And practice of meditation is compared to rubbing two sticks together to produce fire. Before the matches came into being, when people wanted fire, they had to rub two sticks together until the fire is produced. So when you rub two sticks together to produce fire, you must rub until the fire is produced. You cannot stop in the middle. If you stop somewhere in the middle, you have to do it from the beginning again, because you need the growing degree of the growing amount of temperature. So, in the same way, when you practice meditation, you are building up the strength of concentration, and this strength of concentration can be built up only when one moment of concentration or mindfulness is supported by another moment of concentration. That is why it is important to keep mindfulness with you always, to make mindfulness your constant companion. That is why you cannot afford to do anything that will distract you from the object of meditation. That is why no reading should be done, no writing, no talking, no nothing, except mindfulness. Time is very precious for retreat. You cannot get a long holiday whenever you want. It's only rarely that you can get a long holiday. And this holiday you are using it for the purpose of spiritual development. And so this time, only 5 days this time. Time is very precious, and we should use this time to the best of our ability, to the best advantage. So we keep mindfulness always with you. Do not let mindfulness leave you at any moment. It will leave you when you are asleep. That doesn't matter. So keep mindfulness always with you, and avoid doing things which will interfere with this mind. You have plenty of time to talk, or to read, or to write after the retreat. So the retreat time is the real time for practice, for applying mindfulness to everything you do or to every activity. So it is very important. In Rangoon at the center, there are meditator watchers. There are people who watch the meditator, and when they seem to be without mindfulness, they would go to them and warn them, "Hey friend, you are out of mindfulness. Take care," something like that. At first they resented that, being warned by other persons, but later on they are very grateful for that. Because sometimes people don't know that they are out of mindfulness, and so the other meditator watchers who are advanced and experienced meditators, they went to them and warned them, and so they were grateful later. So keep the practice always as much as you can. This is the key to the practice of meditation retreat. You don't have to do anything. Even the other kinds of meritorious can be ignored while you are really seriously practicing meditation. I think you noticed I make chantings in the morning. I chant every day. And then when I was in Miami, I was giving a retreat in Miami. I chanted in the hall, meditation hall. But I didn't tell people to come to the chanting because I want to let them sleep. But the next day, a woman came to me and asked me whether she would come and listen to the chanting. I said, yes, everybody is welcome. So tomorrow, the day after tomorrow morning, I'm going to take chantings in this hall. Anybody who is interested in listening to the chanting can come here. These are the protective chantings that monks chant at different occasions. And I chant all the traditional short suttas, altogether 11 of them, at one sitting. It takes about 25 minutes. So tomorrow morning I will start chanting here at 5 o'clock. Everybody is welcome. And there will be another retreat in July, 2 weeks, 15-day retreat. The schedule of the retreat will be like this, more or less the same. So if you're interested to Joe or Maureen or Bob, anybody. Now we have only 2 days left. One full day and one about 3/4. Let us make these 2 days the best part of the retreat. So let us make more effort. Let us apply mindfulness more to the activities and make this retreat the most memorable one in our lives.